A ledger is the principal book for recording financial transactions. You can define an unlimited number of ledgers, but only associate a maximum of 10 ledgers with an account core model. When defining your ledgers, you can define 6 different types of ledgers. A general ledger is your legal ledger and will track purchases, sales, and payments. Balance sheet and income statements are generated based on this type of ledger. Analytical ledgers are used to track transactions by dimensions. Budgets are used to track budget amounts by dimension. Operating budget is used to track operational budget transactions. Commitments is used to track manual or automatic commitments and pre-commitments. And IAS management is used for international accounting standard transactions. Let's take a look at adding a general and analytical ledger to your system. To add a ledger to our system, select the Ledgers function under the Setup menu. To add a new ledger, click New in the right panel. Enter your ledger code. It can be 3 characters in length. Enter in a description, and then a short description for reports. For the type of accounting, I want to make sure General is selected so I can enter General Ledger transactions. If I'm going to track analytical or dimension transactions, I'd want to make sure my ledger is analytical as well. If I want to track analytical budgets, I would select Budget, but I also have to have analytical checked prior to selecting Budget. If I want to track operating budgets, I would select Operating Budgets. Once again, I would need to make sure analytical has been checked first. If I want to track pre-commitments or commitments, I would select Commitment. I associate my ledger with a chart of accounts. This will determine what account numbers will be used for my ledger. And then I determine the number of dimension types. If I'm going to have an operating budget, I need to make sure that 2 of my dimension types are entity and envelope. And then I enter in my types. If I want to ensure that when I create a journal entry that it balances between debits and credits, I would select Balance. If I have more than one site, I would select Balance by Site if I wanted the sites to balance. If I want my system to automatically or manually match up payments to invoices or receipts to invoices, I would select Matching. If I want to ensure that I have at least one dimension entered when I'm doing analytical accounting, I would select Dimensions Required. When I go to close out my year-end, I determine whether I want my year-end entry by site or by company. Because I have the management set as balance, notice that my carry forward balance is automatically checked. This will ensure that when the year-end entry is created, that it is in balance between debits and credits. If I want to generate a closing document for all accounts, I would select Closing Document. If I want to have one journal per account, I would select one journal per account. Otherwise, I'll get one journal entry for all accounts. Once I have all of my information entered, I'll click Create. And this will add my new ledger. In this lesson, you have learned about the different accounting ledgers that can be entered in your system, how to set the default dimension types, and associate your ledger with a chart of accounts. Determine if the ledger requires journals to be balanced before they can be posted, if the journal should be balanced from site to site, and if at least one dimension is required when posting to an analytical ledger, and determine how the carry forward amounts created will behave at year end.